Hey viewers, for DIYers here, back with another Monday Mat Chat. Now for this video here, this is an update on the old Bolens HT23. You can kind of see it in the background there. Now I have had to pull the engine slightly to get the starter motor out of it, and I'll show you what I'm working on right now.
Now the issue I was running into was pertaining to the starter motor assembly. The motor itself is fine, however, it was this little gear that was causing the issue. Now, as you can see here, it's not supposed to do that. You can see this inner portion is moving around quite freely and is unable to turn that outer gear when it's in contact with the flywheel. Now with age, these do eventually deteriorate on the inside. They have a rubber damper which falls apart with age. Now especially, this is probably the original starter motor on this tractor, so this is to be expected. Now this is a Bosch assembly. To buy a whole new assembly is quite expensive. There is some Chinese remanufactured pieces out there. I have heard of some issues, also more expensive. Now typically these are only a $30 part, but they no longer make these. I did find through some of the local small engine dealer, they were able to source out some old stock that is no longer manufactured, and that was anywhere from $200 to $250. So instead I did end up finding a website that sells a brand new gear. Now it had the outer dimensions listed, the tooth count, the inner bushing dimension, and the total height listed. Now this is actually isn't for a Bosch, it's off a manufacturer that makes starter motors for Johnson outboard marine engines, but it's the exact fit. Same splines, same tooth, everything is basically identical. It just has a slightly deeper gear, but it'll work perfectly. So now I'm just getting this back together. I've already cleaned up the commutator and then gave the brushes a quick clean. I'm using electrical tape here to hold the brushes in, so when everything's pushed back together, I don't have any issues with the brushes aligning in their slots. Now going over to the tractor, as you can see, I unfortunately did have to pull the engine. The belts had to be disconnected. There's simply 4 bolts on the bottom. However, this is an extremely tight spot to work, and the biggest issue was that bracket right there, which is extremely hard to get to. You can barely even touch it with a ratchet or a wrench in there. So this took probably the better part of 2 hours trying to fight with this to get it apart. However, it's out. I'm going to make sure everything works before it gets finally bolted down, and hopefully I should be one step closer to getting this tractor running, so be sure to stay tuned for those videos. Thanks for watching.